Hi, it's Matt here from Go Green Autos. So this is just an update video on my 2014 Tesla Model S. I know many of you quite like these sort of maintenance type videos. So I'm in the middle here of doing a brake service. So I thought I'd just update you to let you know what I'm doing. So this car has now done 101 or maybe 102,000 miles, and regular viewers of the channel will know that I've recently had another Tesla Model S on loan from Tesla while this one was having the motor changed, and I was driving that for 3 weeks, and one thing I noticed when jumping back into mine was that the brakes were significantly worse. So I'm now doing a brake service, and looking at the front pads, that one was the worst one. It is still only about 60% worn, and then the inner pad still looks like new. And what was happening is we're only getting about 50% of the braking. So on these Brembo pads, this long surface here is in contact with the piston and is meant to sort of slide on that. And as you can see, it's a bit reddy colour. And this had rusted solid, and this inner pad on that inner side wasn't moving at all. I had to smash it out with a hammer, hammer and chisel this out. This edge was so stuck, it was unbelievable. And it's a common problem on Brembo brakes, more so on a Tesla because you don't use the brakes. So the outer edge was doing all of the braking, but these pads are huge and they've got two pistons, so in reality that's about the same braking as you get on a normal car anyway, and the brakes were fine. It all stopped fine, it could still do emergency stops, but it did only have 50% of the braking, and actually the same was on the back as well. So even though this pad is only about 50 to 60% worn, it looks like these are original, and this car's now done over 101,000 miles, as I said. And that's not unusual, of course, when you've got an EV with a strong regen, because you've got one pedal driving and you hardly use the brakes. Regular viewers will also know I've previously had a BMW i3 that had 128,000 miles on, and that was still on its original pads as well. So I've got some original Brembo pads for the front and the rear, and the pads, when new, have got that much material on, which is about the same as the seized inner pads on the front. So yeah, very little wear considering this has done 101,000 miles or more, even with seized pads. Still the brake wear has been absolutely minimal. So you will also notice I have painted the calipers, so I thought I'll do that. I've never done this on a car before, but while I've got all the brakes apart, and you can obviously see how I've got the disc off as well, I thought I'll paint the calipers for a bit of fun. So I've gone with red just because it keeps it sort of standard, because obviously the performance models have red calipers. I've got the transfers there off AliExpress, just vinyl lettering I've put on, and yeah, just finished these this morning. And there's the back, obviously caliper and the handbrake all done to match. What I use for this is this paint. I actually got it from Amazon because it was more convenient. This is an etch primer, so I initially wire brushed the calipers down, cleaned them with a bit of brake cleaner, and then coated them first with 2 coats of etch primer, just to make sure that the red paint stuck well. And then I've just used 1 tin of red caliper paint, and there's probably, I don't know, less than a quarter, something like that, paint left, even though these are quite large calipers and you've got these additional handbrake calipers. That's done the whole car, so 1 tin of that was fine. This is quite watery, so I did very thin sort of mist coats and probably 5 light sprays, and it actually then, because initially this looked a little bit orangey, the more you put on, the deeper red it gets, and it finishes with a nice gloss. And because I've put the white lettering and logo up there. I've also finished with a few coats of lacquer. Again, I use the same brand just to make sure there wasn't any interaction between the paints, and I've done about 3 or 4 light coats of lacquer on it as well, just to protect the little stickers. So that's been drying today, and the results are pretty good. I'm quite pleased with them. So yeah, now I've got to do the calipers up, because these are all still a bit loose, and get the brake pads in and get it all back together. So while doing this, I knew this would take a couple of days just because of drying times between the coats of paint. I thought I'll get the wheels refurbished, and I've just picked these up this morning. These were done by Platinum Alloys in Swindon. My wheels were grey anyway. Obviously these are the original Model S wheels, 19-inch, and they're normally in standard silver, but the previous owner had them painted grey, and I think they really look good and match the green paint on the car. However, they were done pretty poorly. They were just sprayed, probably done so-called professionally, but it was peeling, and every time I undid the wheel nuts and the socket would touch the paintwork, it would just peel off in sheets. So I thought I'll get them done properly. I don't know why people don't get them done properly, because the cost is about the same. But anyway, these have been properly powder coated, and it's a really nice job. So I didn't go with the Tesla grey. Instead, I just went with one of their standard colours, and this is mid anthracite, if I can say that word properly. And yeah, I think they look really good. So I've got to put the tyre pressure sensors and the valves back in, and put the tyres back on. And now the tyres. So this car had Pirelli P0 tyres on it, but the back ones were worn right down to the wear indicators there. So I needed to get some new tyres. The front ones were okay, but obviously with a rear-wheel drive car, all your wear is on the back. One thing to note, even though these are Pirelli, they do still have the foam on the inside, like the Tesla spec Michelin tyres. These are actually A0 tyres, so it means they're an Audi spec tyre. Obviously the right size, speed and weight rating as the Tesla ones. But it just does go to show that other brands are having the acoustic foam on the inside as well. Not that it makes a huge amount of difference. You can get other tyres without it, which are actually quieter. But anyway, because of the time of year, I haven't gone for summer tyres again. You know, I could have bought 2 of these, but we're just going into winter now, and indeed this morning we had our first hard frost and ice on the windscreen. So I've gone with a full set of Michelin Cross Climate 2. In the size needed for my car, they are B and B rating and 71 decibels, whereas I think these summer tyres are 69 decibels. But for the winter, these are going to be so much better. I've used these tyres so many times. I'm a big fan of cross climate tyres, and for the UK weather, I think these are just a great compromise, where you get a summer bias tyre for the summer and a bit of extra grip and security in the winter, and much safer than driving summer tyres in the winter. But our winters aren't usually bad enough to justify switching over to a set of winter tyres, so I think these are a great choice. There's obviously a tyre that you can leave on all year round, and I've had them on many cars, and generally this is what I would fit. But obviously I only needed 2 tyres, so I'm just going to keep the other 2 good ones up on the shelf, and maybe when these are worn out, because I do have a feeling these do wear a bit quicker, then if it's spring or summer next time, then I'll probably just buy another pair of those and go back to those. But for the next year or so, I will be running on these Michelin Cross Climate 2s. So that's it. I've got to put all this back together. I'm also going to renew the brake fluid as well, while I've got all the wheels off and got easy access to the brake nipples. So just goes to show how little maintenance you really need in an EV, because this has done 101,000 miles, and the last time this car had a service was at 17,000 miles. So we've got original pads on there, which have, if they hadn't have seized up on the inners, they would have been fine. Let's just show you the back pads. So yeah, back pads still as same thickness as the new ones. Absolutely no difference, but again they had rusted and seized on the sliding parts. So I'm going to change the pads anyway because I've bought them, but these could have easily been cleaned up and put back in. Yeah, going to have new pads, new brake fluid, the refurbished alloys back on, new boots. Would also just say that one of those wheels was buckled as well, which I didn't know about. They've found that when they were refurbishing them. Cost 25 quid to sort that out, so it could ride a little bit better now that all the wheels are straight as well. So yeah, that's it. I'll add in a bit of footage when it's all done to show you what it looks like when it's all back together. The other thing just to add, brake discs. Oh god, these things are heavy. Brake discs are in really nice condition, hardly a lip, like 1 millimetre or less on the edge. I haven't measured them yet, but they're still going to be within spec. Really nice condition as well. So even though the outer pads were the only pads doing the braking and there wasn't anything on the inner, there's not much difference in the lip, and yeah, they've obviously got an awful lot of life left in them. So that's it. As always, if you like the video, please do click the thumbs up. Bit of an unusual video, this one, but a lot of people who are looking at older EVs will find this sort of content interesting. Obviously the only real cost here has been 30 quid for all the paint, etching and lacquer. The pads I think were about 55 quid, something like that. I can't quite remember. Maybe I'll flash it up on the screen when I look at the invoice. They were either 55 quid for the pair or 55 quid each. I can't remember. I've had them for some months. But obviously tyres are expensive. Obviously I get these trade. Tesla's Model S's have got huge tyres anyway, so tyres are expensive anyway. The Cross Climates are sort of at the top of the price range, but I think it's worth it because of the extra winter grip and security, safety that you get. But if you were going to buy the TO Tesla spec tyres with the acoustic foam, then these are still a little bit cheaper than that. So that's why I also went with them, because I think they're a great tyre for the UK climate. So tyres are wear and tear items anyway. So at 101,000 miles, well, you know, I don't know how many tyres this car has fitted, because obviously I haven't owned it for all of that mileage, but these rear tyres did need replacing. So yeah, a bit of money there, but you can't get away with without changing your tyres, of course, occasionally. And to get the wheels refurbished, it was about, with the VAT, something like £90 a wheel, something like that. So pretty cheap for the quality of job that they've done, and it's going to last so much better, because the other ones, while they don't really look much different, the other ones were starting to get tatty and did have a few nicks and bits of curbing, and were starting to peel and would have very quickly looked significantly worse. So it was really just about timing. I wanted to do the brakes, So I thought, well, let's just go all in, get it all done properly, because these were going to be away for a few days. I knew it would take a few days to do the calipers because of drying time. So I've timed it all in. So when I knew I needed some tyres, so that's why I've had this in mind for a few months now, and just timed it so it all got done at the same time. So that's it. As always, if you like the video, please do click the thumbs up, because that really does help other people find this video and find the channel. And more EV videos coming soon. Well, this isn't how I was meant to be ending the video. We're some days on now, what, 5 days later or so, and my car is still sat in the workshop here. So brakes are all done, wheels are done, new tyres on. It looks fantastic, but when I went to move it, the car was completely dead. It sat for 6 days while I got those wheels refurbished, and in that time the 12-volt battery had gone flat. So what I did was removed the nose cone, where behind there is a positive and negative battery terminal, and the battery was at 5 volts. So I tried jumping it with another 12-volt battery. That didn't work, so instead I just put it on a trickle charger overnight. So next morning, the car started, but the traction battery was showing at 6%. Let's see whether, oh God, it's gone flat again. Yeah, the traction battery was showing at 6%, so I moved it 2 meters. I just moved it in the workshop from here to there to get it onto the Type 2 wall charger. And the battery went from 6% to 0%, just moving across the workshop. So I put it on the charger and it wouldn't charge. I left it for about 15-20 minutes, came back, and then the battery was showing at 56% charged. Clearly it wasn't, so it was all going haywire. So I thought, okay, let's stop, let's get a new 12-volt battery. So the batteries on these aren't your standard battery. They've got these flush terminals, deep cycle series Tesla batteries. So I ended up getting the Ranger to come out to fit a battery, because I would have had to have driven to a service centre to pick one up, and I thought, well, let's just let them come out and deliver it and do the job. So on Friday the Ranger came out and replaced the battery in the car. It's a bit of an awkward job on these, because these earlier Model S's, the battery is buried in the corner. Actually, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. You just have to take the wiper blades off and take all the trim off, and you take the wiper arms off to get to it. So it was quite an easy job, actually, much easier than YouTube videos would suggest it is. But I'm glad I got him out rather than doing it myself, because when he changed that, it was absolutely no difference. The traction battery was still going haywire, so he concluded that it needed a new traction battery, and it's got to go into the service centre. One thing that was interesting though, this 12-volt battery, my original one, which actually isn't that old, was measuring 19 volts, and it's been measuring 19 volts for a couple of days last week. So it's now Monday morning, I've just come in after the weekend, and now this is measuring 11.5 volts. So it has settled down, but I do wonder whether the DC to DC converter is playing up as well. But obviously leaving it for the weekend now. I'm just trying to find the key in my pocket. It looks like the fact that it's not opening, yeah, we've got nothing. Good job I leave the window open. The 12 volt has clearly gone flat again, and the car's not working. So a recovery is already booked. They're coming today, because also I can't release the handbrake. Even though this was working, it just wouldn't allow any sort of functions to properly operate on the screen. But anyway, Tesla's recovery agent are coming today to recover this, and it's going into the service centre, where possibly it's having a new traction battery. So this car is still under warranty. Well, the powertrain is under warranty. These have an 8-year unlimited mileage warranty, and this car is about 7.5 years old. So possibly very good timing. and if I do get a new battery, then it's a great car to keep. But I have also seen on the internet a lot of these 85 models have been getting new battery packs, because obviously this was their original first generation battery and clearly not as reliable as they should be. So that's it really. I was hoping to be driving the car this weekend, trying out full braking, because obviously I've only had 50% braking on this car that I didn't realise, and trying out my new all-season tyres, but looks like I've got to wait for another week or two. We'll see. So I'll do another update video when I know more, and probably when I get the car back.